Hey guys, Claire here, and in today's video, we're going to have a recap of all things Harry and Meghan. Now, before we get into it, Spare is still the number one original nonfiction best-selling book in Canada, and also the number one audiobook on the New York Times bestseller list for the third consecutive month. So, seems like Spare has still got some staying power. Congratulations, Prince Harry. Now, days ago, we found out that Harry and Meghan made it to the top 100 people who changed the entertainment landscape for better in 2022, according to radiotimes.com. The couple made it to number 13, and that list just really went into the work that they've been doing for 2022. So I love seeing this recognition for them. And if that wasn't great enough, they have officially released that Harry and Meghan are third and fourth place for the Times 100 influential people. And this is global. The votes are calculated based on over 1 million votes. So this is pretty huge. Harry and Meghan have been consistently in the top Time most influential people lists since their marriage. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing any of the other Windsors mentioned in those influential lists, even though they have an army of PR people and essentially the UK tabloids in their pockets. Or not in their pockets, but the UK tabloids and the British royal family have a very close and cozy relationship. And even with all of that PR and stories bashing Harry and Meghan and amplifying and uplifting the mediocrity of the British royal family, they still haven't been able to capture those spots. Now, earlier this week, I did a quick little video just showing the progression of the unhinged stories as it relates to Harry and Meghan's possible attendance of the coronation. I saw someone leaving in the comments instead of coronation, cononation, and I'm not gonna lie, that one that one had me chuckling for quite a while. We've seen since like January to current day the obsessive articles about Harry and Meghan's possible attendance going from, oh, they're definitely not invited, the family is snubbing them, all the way to now where it's like, if they don't attend, then they're snubbing the king. Harry's snubbing his father. He's a horrible person. That's the final nail in the coffin. And for the love of God, if I hear one more story about final nails in the coffin and olive branches, I'm going to hurl because I'm sick of it. But a lot of people are sort of like over the daily obsessive articles talking about Harry and Meghan's attendance. And I'm not the only one who's thinking or feeling like it's like Harry and Meghan's coronation. You hear more about Harry and Meghan's possible attendance than you hear about the plans for the coronation. And when we do hear about the plans for the coronation, they're pretty lackluster. That invitation, there's a lot of people on social media just sort of saw it and was not impressed. And I'm not gonna lie, when I initially saw it, I assumed that it was somebody's Photoshop mock-up invitation. I really didn't think that it was the official one. For a lot of people, it reminds them of an adult coloring book, and I can totally see that. But beyond that, with all of the artists saying no for the coronation concert, and then we're seeing they're having a lot of issues with people not wanting to volunteer for certain things, and certain sections having an issue with spending more money for the very, very expensive coronation of Charles and Camilla. So all in all, coupled with, the continued protests and egg throwing, it's really not looking very good for Charles and Camilla.
God save the side chick. There you go. I will always look to her as a consort. Online, the nickname for her is Queen of Side Chicks, and this coronation is a side chick coronation. But to your point, I think that the word consort in Prince Charles's association brings up a lot of memories. Like for me, it brings up tampons. If you know, you know. For me, it brings up the affair. For me, it brings up Diana saying there were 3 people in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. That's a direct quote, right? So obviously Buckingham Palace, the word consort, they want to take it off their reign.
To legitimize it.
Because, yes, Charles does not want his monarchy to be associated with all that scandal and all the affair.
And even when the conversations about the coronation has absolutely nothing to do with Harry and Meghan, people within the press and the royalist detractors make it about Harry and Meghan. President Biden said that he won't be in attendance, but he may possibly send his wife or other top officials to attend the coronation. And of course, those in the UK press and royalists online have to say somehow that Biden is in cahoots with Harry and Meghan for some anti-monarchy, pro-woke agenda. I mean, you can't even take these people seriously anymore because they just sound incredibly unhinged. Now, for all of the awards and accolades and recognitions that Harry and Meghan and, of course, the Archwell Foundation have been receiving, I'm noticing a trend from these awards and organizations, like huge philanthropic organizations, are really focusing on the term humanitarian to describe Meghan. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this as well. It's about her work when it comes to women empowerment, and very little, if no mention at all, of her time in the royal family. And I love that for her. Personally, I feel like the brand of Harry and Meghan is far more global and recognizable than the brand of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. What do you guys think? I feel like if you were to go somewhere, some random spot around the globe, and you say Harry and Meghan, more people would know who you're talking about, as opposed to if you say, oh, well, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And I love that for their brand. But yeah, seeing her alma mater, Northwestern, describe her as an actress and humanitarian, love that for her. All of these different organizations really recognizing her and her personal contributions throughout the years is such a major win for Meghan, and I love that for her. Now, while the UK press is still losing its mind over the will they, won't they attend when it comes to Harry and Meghan and the coronation, Charles and Camilla are constantly facing these Not My King protests. And as much as the royal reporters attempt to put out these never-ending pieces of Camilla propaganda, it still just doesn't stick. And even with all of the assistance of the UK tabloids and her having very close relationships with the people of the UK tabloids, it's still not changing the general consensus when it comes to her as queen. A lot of people are still talking about Diana. So it's really not looking very good for Charles. And sometimes I look at him and he just looks a little sad, and there is a very small part of me that's like, wow, I mean, you're waiting for this job for all of your life, you finally get it, and now you're having X thrown at you. Big artists are turning you down, which is kind of weird because you would think people would gravitate towards, he is the king, but that's not really happening. You're having all of these protests almost every month where you go someplace, there are people protesting you. And I just don't understand why he had to see his son and his daughter-in-law as adversaries as opposed to assets. And the saddest thing is, I just generally don't think that he's ever going to truly understand where he went wrong with the Harry and Meghan situation. I don't know. I don't think he'll get it. I don't think he'll ever apologize, and I don't think he'll ever change.
So I realized this was going to be easier to do as a video reply. I think there's this general feeling
true or false, that the British royal family's continuing survival is predicated upon having a working relationship with the media, and that the media can in fact destroy them. And maybe there's some truth to that, but I keep coming back to the fact that I did a deep dive into Camilla Parker Bowles and her image rehab with the media. And it was interesting to see the way in which she won over the media, but not the public. I mean, naturally, the media were fans of her. She was giving them much needed validation post Diana's death when the feelings toward the media were at an all-time low. She needed something, they needed something. This created a great relationship. She's willing to play the game. And maybe that played a role in just wearing down the British public to the point where it's like, okay, she's got to marry Charles, she's got to be queen. I'm not sure though. I'm not entirely sure that there wouldn't have been the same exact outcome without press participation, with just the passage of time. And that really made me start to wonder, how much sway does the press really have over the public? And this is not to say that there is none, because I do think, especially with the way digital media has changed things and people are sharing stories and you're seeing these headlines over and over again, the 24-hour media cycle, that definitely can impact people. And it does begin to inform opinion. I also think there's just too much money involved. I mean, let's say the British royal family said, you know, we're not doing this Royal Rota thing anymore. We're going to limit access. We're going to cut down our comms teams. We're all going to be under one communications team, pared down, representing the entire family. Well, then a lot of people are out of jobs on both sides of the palace gates. And a lot of money is lost by the people at the top of these media companies. So everyone is kind of incentivized to continue to push the importance of this relationship. I just think after a while, especially if you are heir to the throne, you sort of get this, if you can't beat them, join them way of thinking, because they're going to be part of your life forever. And I just personally, I don't agree that there's not a better way forward. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but this ain't it.
Is it within the spirit of America? Shouldn't they be behaving like ordinary citizens? What's your thought?
I mean, they're not ordinary citizens. So that's just intellectually dishonest to try to hold them to a standard that neither the society to which they're living in, nor the public, nor any of you all on this set would actually do. That's just intellectually dishonest, and it's actually, quite frankly, impossible. So we're not going to act as though all of a sudden they can just shed a title, and so with the publicity all of it will die. It will not die. They are high-profile individuals. At the end of the day, the United States government thought that the visa was fine. I think all of this interrogation is a waste of time. I think that they're quite fine where they are. And I think, you know, it's so many more important things going on in the world than badgering about a visa. Like, come on, he's fine. He's okay. I don't think anyone in this country thinks he's an endangerment. And it happens in other countries as well. And I just think that to continue to belabor this argument, he said drugs 12 times. Okay. When? It doesn't have anything to do with now. They're just battering him. Get over it. Move on.
To my family, you hit on a really important point, which is we were forced to leave. We left in 2020. We moved out. We fled my home country. We moved to California. And for 12 months during lockdown, where we said literally nothing, it was relentless. And that was a real eye-opener for me. I never thought that we'd be away from it completely, but I did think that we would get some form of peace. But that's when I realized that actually our mere existence outside of that institutional control was more of a threat. And, you know, there's a similar thing that happened to my mum as well. And look, they always knew that my wife was going to leave because of the way that they were abusing her. But I think the most embarrassing thing is that I just decided to leave with her.
Do they think the intent was to make her to leave or to break her spirit so she would be easier to control? Because either one would do,
like
right?
A little bit like group therapy. I think both. I've never seen the level of abuse and harassment that I witnessed over my wife. Other members of the family, they've experienced different forms of that. But to see it happen the way that it happened, I was naive going into it. I didn't realise that the British press would be so bigoted. And even if I had, I wouldn't have accepted or understood that they could get away with it. But here we are, and we have created a fantastic life here in California, which is, by the way, is beautiful, and America is a great place to live.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell.